This is such a strange and yet familiar feeling. Kind of like visiting an old friend you've not seen in a while, or literally loading up an old save game that you used to spend hours and even days with. Although that's not to say that I've not been dabbling throughout this past year, because one of the main highway connections to Blackwater has been upgraded, even if it needs a fair bit of work and doesn't really improve things all that much. A bunch of the buildings underneath that highway did have to be replaced to make a bit more space for that elevated road. And that presented an opportunity to rebuild some of the surrounding spaces as well, which probably left some of the locals feeling a little bit annoyed about this eyesore of a building, although I personally kind of love it. There's even a new tallest building in Blackwater, the Energy Lobbying Office, right in the heart of downtown, next to our police headquarters and bus terminal. And finally, there's a fair bit of bicycle infrastructure that's been added all over the place, whether that's dedicated bridges and paths, or lanes that have been added to our old arterial roads. And so I suppose, with that all out of the way, it's finally, at long last, time for me to say, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to City Skylines 2, and welcome back to Columbia County. Three things in mind that I really want to do today. And thing number one is going ahead and dealing with the fact that we have really, really high residential demand. And there's a couple of ways we can deal with that. Way number one would be to expand out of the middle of Blackwater just a little bit further. We could build a new suburb like the one we have here with St. Denis or Valley Gardens, Linden Creek, and Valentine. But I think what I'd rather do is get a little bit more density right in the middle of Blackwater. And the way I want to do that is by going ahead and basically just getting rid of a bunch of these row houses that we have down here. Now, these row houses are some of the oldest buildings in Blackwater, so I imagine that this would be a bit of a controversial move, but I think it's worth doing because I have a bit of an idea for what we can do with this space instead. We're going to modernize it a little bit, we're going to pedestrianize it a little bit, and I think it's going to look just that little bit better. I'm also probably, again, controversially, going to get rid of this bicycle parking hole that we have right here. Thankfully, it's not completely full, so I don't feel too bad about doing this, but it is right next to a hospital, so we will probably want to replace that. And I'm also thinking it might be time to replace this radio mast, or at least move it, because it makes a really annoying beeping noise that I imagine is more for my sake than it is for the people in the city, because I can't imagine living next to this thing would be like, it's pretty frequent if you get in here. It's like, it's really quite loud. Also, I should not have run the simulation. I knew that was going to happen. We need to make sure that these guys are not rebuilding, and I need to go ahead and just remove all of that zoning because we do not need anyone rebuilding in here. And you know what? While we're here, let's go ahead and get rid of this little path right here. And let's also use radius delete, which is such a cool mod. It lets you just have like a radius where you can delete things and you can filter it. So I can just go ahead and get rid of all of these little bushes down here, and that clears out the space absolutely, absolutely perfectly. And as much as I want to go in and just zone this and let it build, I'm going to use Find It. I'm going to be plopping some buildings here because I want this to look a very specific way. And I'm going to be using these US Southwest residential medium density apartments. They are going to be level 5 because that'll give them a little bit more density. And I think we're going to do I want to do 3 of them? Actually, you know what? No, I don't want to use these ones. I want to use a slightly different one because I've had a look I should say I've looked through these buildings. I know which one I'm looking for, and I'm specifically looking for this one right here, the left one, because it kind of gives us this natural, oh, that is not at all what we're looking for. Let's flip that back around and do it properly. It gives us this perfect little divide between the buildings. We have all of this decoration going on already, and I can change the surfaces to look a little bit better in just a moment. But then it gives us this space down at the end. And what I sort of want to do with this space down here is look for a bigger building. I want to look for something like maybe this French low rent residential building and just sort of throw it right about there, because this guy has room for 200 households, and that's something we have to keep in mind. Each of those row houses has room for about, I guess, 8 households. Oh man, am I about to do this math? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, I want to say 20. So there's 160 households in one row right here. All of those can now go into 41 King Street, which is kind of perfect. It doesn't really match the vibe of the buildings next to it, but that's okay. I don't really worry too much about that. I think it's totally fine. And so in theory, most of the families that we've displaced already have somewhere else to live. There's 75 households in each of these guys. So this will still give us a bump to the population. It will put a bit of a dent in the residential demand, but we're not done yet. Because I'm sort of thinking of using these EU mixed right buildings, again, level 5, so we have a really nice amount of density in them. I like these a lot. I think we could make a really cool looking block similar to what we've done over here with the urban promenades stuff. I just don't know if this building's maybe a little bit too much, which is definitely a possibility. We could use the German buildings. Those would also be a bit of an option. We have 2 options for those. We have this one, we have this one, and I think I'd be inclined to use this one because it's just a little bit more detailed and it kind of looks, it looks like it could sort of blend into what we're doing. I think for now though, I am going to go with this guy. It's kind of huge is my problem, but it's pretty cool looking. And I think I want the left version of that building, which is it that one? It is that one. Okay. So this is going to live right here, I think. No, it isn't. It is not going to live right there. I've put that in the wrong spot. I want it to be here because my thinking is I want the taller side of this building facing this way. And then the slightly shorter side is going to be next to these row houses so that we're sort of tapering down from these taller buildings to the row houses, to the low density stuff, and then to, you know, the suburbs. I think that's okay. I don't imagine people in the suburbs are going to love that they like walk up their street and there's just a giant billboard right there, but they'll manage. That's okay. Anyway, this right here is my thinking for what I want this block to look like, and I have intentionally set it back from this road over here. It is on a pedestrian road on this side as well, and this is going to lead to a much more pedestrianized space, which is what we're looking for. I could probably also run the simulation while we're doing this. I don't think there's any reason to keep things paused right now, but I like this. There's going to be a lot of surface work to do. There's going to be some detailing to do. But already down here, we can see it putting a dent in the medium and high density residential demand, which is perfect and exactly what we're looking for. Now, when it comes to this space over here, I think what we do is once again go to find it. We are once again going to look for some corner buildings. Once again, going to be going for level 5 buildings because they have that density that we're looking for. And we're once again looking for something that's going to be a little 4x4. And I think it's probably going to be these guys. I think, again, it's going to be one of the US packs. So I think it's going to be US Northeast this time. We do have urban promenades, but we've kind of experimented with that over here already. And so I think this one's too tall. It's also not the right size. So yeah, I think we go with this. I don't know what way I want to place these though. So I think what we need to do actually is put another road in here, another pedestrian road right about there. Back to find it. We want to do this guy. Where do I want to do this one? Does it go there? Does it go here? No, it doesn't go there. I don't know where this building's supposed to go. I'm looking for the left version of that building, which I guess would be here and not there and certainly not there. I think I need have I got this one the wrong way around? It's definitely possible. It's definitely, I think I am getting really confused about this for some reason. Okay, let me have another just look here. You don't go there. You don't go there. You might go, I think you're already there. Oh, there we go. Problem solved. I managed to get the block that I was looking for. And again, we have this gap between the buildings and this road, which is absolutely perfect. In fact, you know, these pedestrian roads right here, as much as I love them, I'm actually thinking it might be better to do some one-way roads with parking. And I don't really know what direction I want them to go. I think we just do, let's say that way or that way. Do I want them? Let's do that way is what we'll do. We'll put the parking sort of on the other side away from these guys. We can maybe do a little bit of grass in there. I think we can do a little bit of grass in there. We can do some trees in there as well. And then I think for this road up here, I really want to lean into pedestrianizing it. So I think we're going to do wider sidewalks. I don't think people are going to be parking on these roads, and I think that's probably okay. We could do some bicycle lanes, but they wouldn't really lead anywhere right now. And so I don't know if there's too much point in doing bike lanes. I mean, admittedly, we do kind of lead to the hospitals, so we could maybe upgrade all of this with bicycle lanes, and we could connect to this avenue over here. But I think for now, we'll keep it simple, and I want to fill in this space. And fortunately, we can do that super easily. We've got the little small parks, so we have like the urban parquet, which is lovely. But I think the way we'll do this is just a little mini park here, a little mini park here, and a little mini park here. And then what we can do is go into parking. We can go down and get ourselves some bicycle shelters. And so we are putting a little bit of that bicycle infrastructure back into the space. It doesn't look the prettiest, but I think that's okay. Again, we can mess with surfaces. We can mess with details, but I think this is a pretty good upgrade to the space, right? It's pretty, I like it. We've got what, 64 households per building here. So that's what, 256 households in this block. We have what, 60, so another 256 households in this block. We have 200 households in this building alone, and then 75 households per building here, which we've got 225 in here. So that's a lot of households, and that's a really small little change to Blackwater that gives us that bump in the population. It hasn't done much, admittedly. It hasn't done much. Our demand is still ridiculous down here. So I do think, especially low density demand, we're going to have to build some new suburbs. But before we do that, I think I want to change some surfaces. I think I want to make this place look a little bit more pretty, and I want to get the details in here that I'm really excited about. So when it comes to the Southwest apartments, I really like this tiled surface underneath them. There's just something about that I really enjoy. It's just feels a little bit more modern to me. I don't know if it is like kind of a modern thing, but it's just, actually, now that I say that, that looks very similar to the tiles in my kitchen. The tiles in my kitchen are a little bit less rough around the edges than these guys, but those are very, maybe that's where the bias is coming from. I think we'll do the same thing under these guys as well. We'll go for the same tiles just so we have that consistency. We will need to do some stuff with surfaces on this side because people are currently walking across the grass, but that's okay. And then for these buildings over here, I am at a bit of a loss because I don't know that they should have the same tile underneath them. Given that we have this sort of more European vibe, do we maybe not want to go for these gray walking stones and instead maybe go for bricks? We could do clay pavers. That would be an option. So something like this. Oh, I do like that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I like that a lot. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb, but I think the pavers are kind of the way to go. We have them coming in here as well, apparently, which is interesting. Can I just change all of this? Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. It's a bit asymmetrical, but that's fine. Over on this side, fortunately, we actually do have a pretty easy way of managing the surfaces, though. So we can just grab this little node here. That's not really going to work, is it? Oh, this is going to be a pain, actually. I was hoping this was going to be nice and easy. This one's nice and easy, which is great. This one is nice and easy, which is also great. This one is nice and easy. This one's nice and easy. You know what I might even do is not bring these out quite as far, because I'm realizing it might make more sense to have a little... Okay, we might want to bring these back a little bit. That might not be a terrible idea. At least the grass could be brought back a little bit. So you know what? Let's try going to, I want to say here. And I might regret this. This might be a pain to try and get everything lined up, but I'm determined to make this work. Oh, this was 100% the right choice. Though I will say the terrain not being level is absolutely killing me. So we're going to need to use Move It to try and do something about this. I'm just going to select absolutely everything around here. So all of the segments, all of the nodes and the roads, all of the buildings as well. I don't know if I need to grab the surfaces. We'll hit Control H and then level to the height of that intersection. And I'm hoping I can go in with the level terrain tool, bring that brush size down to about 30, bring that strength up to about 100. And then if we just do this, I have no idea if it's actually working. I really can't tell, but that's fine. We'll level over here as well. Did that work? Is that nice and level? You know what? It's level enough. I think with some details in there, it'll be totally fine. This is all right. This is a start, and that's all it needs to be. Now for this side, I guess what we need to do is, what do we need to do? I'm sort of regretting this little extended bit of path right here because I'm now going to have to line it up on this side. And part of me is really tempted to line it up with this parking line right here because I think it would just look neater. But I'm also realizing if I brought this right down, ooh, okay, no, we're going to not do that. We're not going to do this little extended part here. We already have the sidewalk. We don't need an extended part. I want to have some plants right on the edge of the sidewalk. I think that's going to look better. And that, I think, was completely the right call. I think that looks so much better. I do. I think that looks so much better. Now, what I would like to do is figure out what these trees are. I want to know, are these going to grow up to be massive? They're London planes. Okay, how big does a London plane end up being when it's elderly? Actually quite large. That's surprising. Okay. Can I delete individual versions of these? No, it's going to delete all of them. I'm sure there's maybe like an option in here to not delete all of them. I've got no idea. I honestly don't remember. It's been a minute. Selection, single item. Yes, I can delete individual ones. Okay. In that case, I'm going to delete the London planes from this side of these buildings because I think they're going to get a little bit too large for this space. They're honestly going to look pretty dense across here as well, but that's probably okay. It'll give some nice shelter to the cars and it'll stop them from, you know, overheating in direct sunlight, which is sort of what we want. But when it comes to the rest of this space, I mean, a hickory tree is nice looking, but it's going to block the view out of those windows, which admittedly is just into someone else's apartment. So that's not the worst thing in the world. We could go to Old Faithful and do a bunch of poplar trees out here. That would also be an option, and I'm not against doing it. If we go down to maybe 10 meter spacing between these guys, we use fixed length. We could do 2 of them across there, maybe 3 of them across there if we go down like about 6 meters. Does that look okay? I don't mind that. I don't. I'm not going to overdo it with the poplar. Well, no, I say that. Actually, I am almost certainly going to overdo it with the poplar trees because there is one more spot that I know of where I happen to want poplar trees. Those also don't line up perfectly, so maybe down there should be just 2 of them instead of 3 of them. So let's just get rid of those. Let's just do our poplar trees here, I guess, like that. And do those line up? They do, more or less. I think I'm okay with that. And yeah, I remember that there's this entire space out the back of these apartments. So saying that I'm not going to do much with poplar trees, not necessarily true. I'm going to do one here. And I think we go to 8 meter spacing and we do something like this. I'm basically lining it up with this section of the building and this section of the building. And then we have one in the middle because I imagine those are probably stairwells, right? So those aren't windows to someone's apartment. So we're not blocking any views of this water and this road. Okay, they're not losing out much if we do block the views, but that's fine. Anyway, I think this space is starting to come together, but one thing that we're missing is a recreation of these lines of bushes that we have over here on the left. So we're going to use the little eyedropper. We're going to grab this cultivated green bush number 2, And we're just going to go ahead and line some of these green spaces with these cultivated bushes, which I think should be about 1.5 meters apart. Yeah, that's pretty good looking actually. So we'll go to about there. And on this side, we want to go to, from about there to about there. Should be totally fine. And that really does, oh, that does so much. It does so much. I love how much you can do with something so simple. I've missed this. I really have. I'll be honest with you. I was so nervous coming back to Cities Skylines. Even Cities Skylines 1, we did a little bit of a dabble in Cities Skylines 1 a few weeks and maybe a couple of months ago now. But just coming back to Cities Skylines in general is something I've been genuinely so nervous about, because there's so much that's changed since there's supposed to be 6 of those. There's so much that's changed since I last played this, for the better, admittedly. You know, nothing's bad, but it's wild. There's so much new stuff to play with. There's so much new stuff to see and do. The game is running pretty well, which is lovely. I do enjoy frames. Those are nice. But if I'm honest, I was mostly just, where did my bushes go? Where did my, oh, I'm gonna have to do those again. Okay. I was mostly just nervous about coming back to this and sort of feeling a bit lost, I guess, and not being satisfied with sort of what I would be. Wait, I didn't put bushes there originally. I think we're good. I think I'm just losing it. I think that's what's going on. That's fine. Nothing's changed. It's been almost a year, but I'm still losing it, just like I always was. Yeah, I've just been, I don't know. I've been kind of looking around at what other people are doing with Cities Skylines in recent months, and I have started watching some new creators here and there, and they're like creators that I've known about, but I've started watching some of their stuff, just to sort of see what's going on and see what people are doing, and you know, do I want to go back and do some city stuff? And then also, a few weeks ago, I stopped watching all these creators because I didn't want to come back to this and start copying what they were doing. So it was like, okay, I've got a bit of a taste of this. I can see what's changed. I can see what's going on. I'm excited to do this for myself. So let's go to Cities Skylines Detox, right? That was basically the idea. And that way, I'm not just going to do what everybody else does when I start playing this. So that's kind of been the idea. Also, I love this. Oh, I love this. Why do those trees keep coming back? Stop! Enough! I don't want them there anymore. The building is locked. Oh my God. Okay, they need to just go away. They need to go away. I might just have to get rid of all of them. Honestly, I think that's what we need to do. I think because these ones are maybe like aging, we want to remove all of those trees from that building and all of the trees from that one, and maybe that'll stop them from coming back. And then I suppose I need to do, wait, where did those ones go? Where did those bushes go? What is going on? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Wait, weren't there 2 trees on this corner? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, I think this is looking pretty good. This is about what I want this space to be. I decided to just put more poplar trees over here. I did miss this spot in the middle though, where things don't look like they're perfectly aligned. So I think we just put a nice big birch tree right in there, so I never need to really look at that problem. And I think we need to make this place feel a little bit more alive. So what I want to do is go and grab some invisible pedestrian paths, because I think if we turn off all of our snapping options, we could go from here and we can sort of just snake across the front of these buildings and probably up through just about there should be fine. We can do a little something. Actually, let's do this at a bit of an angle. Let's go and do this. Let's do this. Let's do a little something. We don't need to go for something here, but we'll do, I guess, something like this. We can do a little something like this as well. And you can already see it working. We already have people sort of cutting through this space, and that's exactly what I want. I want people walking across these open areas. I want people kind of walking in front of the buildings, walking across these little plaza spaces. that will hopefully make it feel a little bit more alive here. And there we go. There we go. We got that pack of dogs just cutting the corner. That's perfect, because that's what we want to see. And that helps make it feel more alive. So let's do the same thing over on this side. We're just going to go straight across to about here, I suppose. We can do a little cut corner right about there, a little cut corner right about there. And I guess we'll just do some little sections here where people can kind of get up into those areas. We could do, I guess, a little something like this and a little something like this. Again, just to let people do exactly that, where they're sort of cutting across the plazas and doing their thing. And again, now that we have people walking through there, it just feels a little bit more alive. It just looks a little bit more alive. Now, the last thing I'd like to do to all of this space is just a bit of recoloring, because that's a thing that's just in the game now. I mean, you probably know that, right? You're probably aware of that. I have been aware of that for a while. It's just weird. It's weird going in and disabling the recolor mod, because I can just do it in the game now. It's really, really strange. It's really, really strange. Now, what can we do and what do we want to do? So this is that lower part of the building. Okay, that's good to know. This is our upper part of the building, which admittedly is not bricks, so I don't know if I want to make it red, I'll be honest with you, but I do like the idea of sort of a bright, just ever so slight kind of off-white, maybe even just a very slight, like, eggshell sort of thing going on there. Not quite yellow, not quite white, just sort of an eggshelly kind of thing going on, I suppose. The roof could be, I think, just that little bit darker. And then the base of the building could be just that little bit darker. Is that too much? I feel like the eggshell is a little bit too bright still. Let's bring that down just a little bit further. I think that's okay. It does look a little dirty, right? It doesn't look like an egg. It looks like it's just not been cleaned in a while, but I think that's fine. Let's just get all of them to look about the same. I think the darker green on the roof, just ever so slightly, is kind of a nice touch. And then for these guys, we have an original on the left. We have my very slight recolor on the right. We're just going to go ahead and do exactly that same thing. So we're changing some of the framing of the building. Some of the parts at the bottom we're changing as well. And that little sort of box on the roof, we are also changing to just be a little bit brighter. And we're sort of bringing some of that yellow trim, that kind of gold trim from these guys into these buildings, just so they're sort of brought together. Is that little bit. And then for these guys, I don't really know. I don't really know what to do to them. I kind of like them as they are, honestly. I don't really mind it. I think they look decent. I don't think everything needs to be recolored, although we do need to fill this space over here. So let's go back to our surfaces. Let's just bring this up to there. Let's bring this out to here, down to that corner, and then down to that corner as well. We will need to put some trees in there, of course. So we'll grab ourselves maybe some poplar trees. No, we'll grab ourselves some birch trees. We're not doing poplar trees everywhere. It's not happening. We'll do some birch trees, random rotation. We'll go to about here. And how many do I want to get in that space? 4 of them seems pretty good to me. Just to separate those buildings. I think I'm okay with about 4 of them. And you know, I'm looking at these surfaces, and I'm almost thinking that this path should almost extend out to this alleyway, and that we could maybe do the same over here if I get rid of some of these plants. I'm very tempted to do that. Or we just block it up. Also over here, this should probably extend out into this space now that I think about it. So yeah, let's get rid of that surface. Let's bring you out to this parking lot. And do I just want to do that with it? Do I want to do... I think I do. I don't think I want to go too crazy with this, if I'm completely honest. I think we just bring this out and fill up that corner. We bring you out to that corner, you out to about there. And I think that looks fine. We are going to need to put some trees on that to obviously sort of hide some of our crimes. But we can do a nice birch tree right there. We can maybe do a poplar tree right about there, and maybe just a chestnut tree to go a little bit bigger with it, a little bit denser with it, and that really hides what's going on in that corner. And I think that's okay. I think that works. As for these spaces here, oh man, do I want to just extend these paths out, or do I want to try and kind of extend the bushes a little bit? I kind of think I want to extend the bushes. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, those bushes only appear at the backs of these buildings. So we could just get rid of all of them and then just put one big hedge sort of across all three buildings to make it feel like they're sort of one unit as opposed to three separate buildings. So if we could even do a fence. We could do a fence. I do like this stone fence. I think it looks pretty good. It's actually the same fence we used over here, so we're not going to do that. We're not going to be doing that. We've got some wooden options too. This one feels pretty cool, actually. I do like this one. It kind of matches the vibe a little bit. We've got like wood paneling on the building, a nice wooden fence back here. We have slightly more residential looking wooden fences. We have slightly more industry looking wooden fences. I think we go, we've got waterfront fences as well. I think we go for this wooden fence. There's something about it. It's speaking to me. It's talking. That might be, that might be the me losing my mind thing that I talked about earlier kicking in. But yeah, we're going to go with this fence right here. We're just going to bring it right across all three units. In fact, I want to line it up with this corner and take it in the other direction so that we know that I've got this lined up properly. And then finally, I think with a couple of little surface changes over this way, and with the addition of maybe some tiles just in here, and of course, a very slight adjustment to this surface here to make sure it goes all the way out to that edge and all the way out to this edge as well. I think we're looking pretty good on this new area. I really, really like it. I'm slightly tempted to get rid of some of the roadside parking over here. In fact, we're not done. We're absolutely not done. We do need to get rid of some of the roadside parking over here. And we also need to make sure that we have some bus stops in here because we're missing one. There's supposed to be 2 bus stops in Coleridge Street, and apparently there's not anymore. I'm not really too sure where one of them has gotten to, but 100%, yeah, there's a waypoint here. There's no bus stop here. So what we can do is just grab this. In fact, you know what? I think I want to go ahead and get rid of this bus stop, which is going to mess with things for a second, but I want to replace it with one of the new ones. We have this architectural bus shelter, which looks amazing, although it's going to be blocking some of these houses. They can deal with that. They're probably not going to be here forever. But what I'm actually looking for is the EU bus stop shelter with bicycle stands, because that way we can have more bicycle infrastructure in all of this space. And that's kind of exactly what we're looking for. So this waypoint becomes a bus stop. This waypoint becomes a bus stop. It's nice and central on Coleridge Street as well. So there's plenty of room for the buses to pull in, which is what we're looking for. And then down here, I think honestly, we do just extend our pedestrianized space a little bit. I don't think we want to get rid of the parking from this side of Coleridge Street because that's going to be the residents in the row houses. But on this side, we can definitely do something about it. And we probably do need more parking infrastructure around here in general. There's definitely not enough parking for what would amount to maybe about 500 or so families. But I think that's a pretty good looking upgrade to that space. I think it looks kind of fantastic. And honestly, zooming out a little bit, yeah, it kind of fits. I don't want to say the skyline because I don't know that Blackwater necessarily has a skyline exactly, but it fits the vibe that I want. Although I need to do something about that industry. Although I'll admit, I don't mean anything drastic. I just sort of want to get rid of a bunch of these smokestacks because we are going to have a bunch of them on the power plant already. I don't think we need all of these industrial buildings just sort of looking the way they do right now. I think we can get rid of some of these guys and just improve the look of our overall skyline. I think I'll keep that one, and I can't get rid of the one from the top of the energy lobbying office, but instantly that looks so much better. It does. That is such an improvement. I mean, yes, we still have the power plant in the background, but that is such an improvement. I'm also thinking that because we have so much going on around here that is supposed to be pedestrianized, it's probably not a bad idea to have some stop signs at some of these intersections and possibly here as well, possibly up here by the hospital. maybe here by the hospital too, and we'll just hope that that's enough to sort of slow traffic down without causing too many problems, and that should let our pedestrians get over to the hospital or wherever it is that they're happening to go. I think this is good. I like this. I'm really, really pleased with this. Anyway, with work in Blackwater done for today, I want to turn my attention to Armadillo, which is our little mining town just in front of us, just out here in the sticks of Columbia County, away from Blackwater, because there are some improvements I think we could make to the main street, to our fuel refinery, and to some of the areas around the fuel refinery. Now, when it comes to this main street, it is mostly built up of UK town center style buildings, which doesn't really work for the vibe that I want out here. I mean, I say that, is that Poundland? That is the color scheme for Poundland, right? Like if you're in the UK, you know that is 100% supposed to be Poundland. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is that these buildings worked initially for what I wanted to do, but there is a better option now. Because there are now North American mixed old town style buildings, and they have a bunch of different styles to them, a bunch of different sizes as well, which is fantastic, but they look exactly the way I would want the buildings in here to look. So I think what I'm gonna do is go through and I'm gonna bulldoze. I don't know if I'm gonna bulldoze everything. I do think we should keep some of these older buildings in here, but I think this entire row of buildings can go. I think we get rid of all of these guys as well. I know I said I'm gonna keep some of them, but I'm gonna get rid of all of those too, because that's the entrance to our town. We want that to look a certain way. I think these ones down here at the corner can stay, because I like to imagine that those are making up a bank or something like that. All of these guys can go. And then what we do is we're just gonna zone this. That's basically how this is gonna work. So we'll go to North American. We can go to, where am I looking here? Hold on a minute. Well, this is not North American. Never mind, I'm an idiot. They are old town mixed style apartments. I was looking in the wrong place, which is fine. Basically, we can get rid of the old zoning. We can put the new zoning in here. We can get rid of the old zoning and put the new zoning in here. We can get rid of the old zoning and put the new zoning in here. And then you guessed it, get rid of the old zoning and put the new zoning right there. I think for this corner though, I'm gonna see if I can find a little 4x4 something or other. Oh, look at you. That's amazing. Oh, they're so good. Like, they're so good looking. They have exactly the right vibe that I want for these spaces. Oh, I love them. I love them. I love them so much. They're so good. They're such good looking buildings. And would you look at that? That is so much better than what we had in here before. I love this. I really do. And just for comparison, here's what it looked like before. This is the UK buildings. They're still up here in front of our old train station, which is remarkably busy. Good Lord. That is kind of surprising, all things considered. We do still have these UK buildings on this corner, because again, in my head, these are like a bank that was built in maybe the 70s or the 80s. So it's a much more relatively modern building than I would imagine some of these guys happen to be. Obviously, just zoning these has given us some weird shapes and sizes here and there though. So at the backs of some of them, we have parking. At the backs of some of them, we have parks. At the backs of over here, we have some bicycle parking, which I don't imagine bicycling is going to be all that popular in Armadillo, but it is an option now. And you know, I think it might be a good idea just to get rid of all of these buildings as well. I think for the front of this train station, we want it to look a little bit more Old Town. I think that's kind of the goal. So we'll take out all of this zoning. We're going to go and do our, if I can find it. Why can I never find what I'm looking for? It's the North American Old Town. Oh, sorry. It's the North American mixed Old Town style apartment buildings. I need to just get that into my head and remember that that's what I'm looking for every single time. In this case, though, I do sort of want to place these by hand because I think it's going to look a little bit better. Now, I think this is the same as the building we put over there. Is it? It is not, so that's fine. It can go there. Let's get a right side one, which is going to go, that is the same. So we'll go for this guy, which is pretty cool looking. Roughly the middle is like here. It doesn't need to be perfectly central, but I want to do let's see. What do we want to do here? If I could get one of these that's like 3 wide and looks great in the middle, that would be fantastic. I don't think there's any 3 by 4 though, which is a little bit unfortunate. We do have this one, which I think looks pretty good. We have this one, which is maybe a little bit small. So maybe that's not the one we're going to go for. Maybe what we do actually, now that I think about it, is we get another corner building and we can do something like this. It's the same as that one down there, so we might want to change that out for something else. But if we do something like this and we get another left corner building and we do something, I think that's the same as the one down there, isn't it? Yeah, so we'll do this one. We're limited on the number of corner buildings we have. I'm repeating myself there though, so actually what might be better is to just use the same building here and we'll kind of have that mirrored symmetry going on, which I think is fine. Basically, we'll put a path in between them and we'll give pedestrians access to that alleyway, which is not the most interesting place for them to go, I'll admit, but it gives us a focal point in this area, and I think that's okay. I think we'll continue the style of that building around a little bit. I think we'll continue this building a little bit. Oh, that's going to be fun to deal with. that's going to be a nightmare to deal with. We'll do the same here. We'll continue that one a little bit. And you know what? We'll do the same thing here. We'll just have it be sort of symmetrical. In terms of lot widths, we're now coming down to some considerably smaller buildings to try and fill this space. And I don't think there's going to be anything. There's this guy. Oh, hold on a minute. I might need to go for, let's see. Let me go to mixed. Let me go to UK. Let me go for all buildings. Oh no. We might be in trouble here. I need some, oh, that's because I'm searching for North American as well. Let's get rid of the theme. There we go. Okay. So we're looking for central buildings. We're looking for medium buildings. And so far we have flats. I somehow don't think so. I'm sort of thinking what we might need to do here is just slightly redesign this space entirely. So let me just get rid of you and let me get rid of that surface. Let me get rid of this road and parts of this road, get rid of this building and that surface. We're going to get rid of these guys as well. And then what we can do is get ourselves some kind of nice parking road that cuts through the middle here. So we have this one with angled parking. Let's go with this one. It is 3 tiles wide, which is actually exactly not what I'm looking for. It's 4 tiles wide. I need one that's a bit smaller. This one is kind of what we're looking for. So it's going to live right about here. And that, I think, is going to be okay. It's going to be an interesting challenge to see if I've actually measured this properly and not just assumed that everything's going to be fine. So we want to go for these guys again. Oh man, what am I filtering by? Theme, that. Oh, where are they? Why can I never find buildings when I want to find them? And you know, I think this looks okay. I think this sort of works. It's not exactly the most luxurious street to be walking up and down because it's just got parking on it, but it does the job, and that's sort of what I needed it to do. What I would like to do is go in and change out some of the surfaces here and also possibly flatten some of the terrain because there's definitely some funk going on in here. So let's just make sure this is all nice and level, or at least as level as it can possibly be, because it's really going to show up if I put some weird surfaces in here. Let's also put the alleyway back in here because we did have one over this way. In fact, I think it can go here. We'll get rid of that part, and then maybe we could do a little parking lot alleyway. That would certainly be an option. We have this one. Can we upgrade you? We absolutely can. I'm not against that. Just a little bit of parking back there is not going to hurt anybody. Over on this side, we're a little bit more limited in what we can do. Also, these alleyways are practically not very useful and they're not urgently needed, but they do kind of fill up the space and they have occasional vehicles going through them, which I think looks cool. This one filled up so quickly. That's wild. Okay. Okay, wow. That was a lot quicker than I thought it would be. All right, let's deal with some surfaces. Let's figure out what we're doing with the surfaces in front of these buildings. And I'm again sort of drawn to the idea of using these clay pavers right here. I think we will need to bring this guy just out a little bit so we can kind of get an idea of what we're working with. But I do like the clay pavers. I do wonder if maybe it would be an idea to not bring them out quite as far. Maybe we want to figure out where it is people are entering these buildings, which it looks to be here, 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 and presumably that corner. So we could maybe not bring the clay pavers out quite as far and just put some decorations in there. Or I suppose my other option would be to find some nice planters to put around here, which I think that's probably what I'm going to do, because I think that's going to be a little bit easier than trying to find the invisible paths that pedestrians are taking, because I don't think, well, those are the entrance points. I think. You know what? It doesn't matter. We're just going to do the planters thing. Actually, I think these plant pots with the bollards in between is maybe a bit of a better look. I sort of like the idea that this area might be a little bit more open than it was otherwise going to be. And maybe we come down to about 2.5 meters between these. We go to about this spot and we bring a couple of bollards just over to, I want to say about there is probably fine, just to sort of nicely enclose this this space. We do the same thing over on this side, and I think we do the same thing just all the way up here as well. I'm not really too sure what's going to go at this end of this space that we're building out here, but we will absolutely figure that out. We'll go to about there. Oh, those are not in a straight line. You know what? That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not really going to be looking at this end of the buildings all that much anyway. I do want them here. They're just, they're a little, you know, maybe the people that installed the bollards had a little bit much to drink on the day that they installed these ones, and that's okay. I like to imagine that most of these buildings would probably be bars, pubs, and clubs, so that's fine. I also changed the surface at the historic, that is the medium train station. It's not the historical one. But yes, I figured bringing the pavers into that space would be a good idea as well. And you know what? Yeah, those flower pots were definitely the right choice. But there is still more that we can do. Because like I said, I imagine that some of these guys are pubs and clubs, and so they're probably restaurants as well. So we can do some tables and chairs just out front of this one, I think, right to... Actually, about there is probably fine. We could maybe do some slightly different tables and chairs just up this way. Maybe go for these ones just to get a bit of something into that spot. Or I like these ones. They're maybe a little bit more modern looking, but I think I'm kind of okay with that. We'll go for here. We'll go for here. We'll go for here. We'll go for one more about here. Actually, we can get a bunch more in here now that I look at it. So we'll go to that spot. I don't want them too close together, and I don't want this to feel too cluttered, but I also feel like they would want a decent amount of outdoor seating here. It's not the most luxurious place, but it really isn't the most luxurious place. just kind of realized what I'm doing and where I'm doing it, but you know what? That's okay. We'll make it slightly fancier by giving them some parasols, because you know what? What else do they not need around here? Certainly not parasols, but they're gonna get them anyway. Do I want to do the circular one? I think these ones. Yeah, I think these are the ones that we go for. Not everyone's going to get one though. Maybe this is the sort of thing that you can request, right? If you book a table, you can have like there's like a little checkbox that's like, do you want a parasol of your table? If you say yes, then some poor underpaid waiter has to drag this thing out of the storage at the back of the building and put it over your table. That's how it's going to go. And also, just to be annoying, I'm going to put the circular parasols over the square tables and the square parasols over the circular tables. Okay, so one last little detail that I decided to do in here was, well, two last little details were go ahead and put, I guess, more tables and chairs everywhere, along with some advertising for the different businesses that are in here. And then I decided to get rid of the normal streetlights and replace them with these EU park streetlights that I've recolored to be sort of an old sort of dark green. And I think that really just helps make this feel like it might be a little bit more of an old town. Oh, that's inside a building. A little bit more of an old town vibe. I don't know that this would necessarily be a legitimate, like, oldest sort of street in Armadillo kind of thing. Although maybe it was like, this is like the only remaining part of old Main Street or something like that. Because it is right opposite the train station, so it might make sense that, you know, the original Main Street in Armadillo was just off of the train station. And I love that. I really do. Like, it looks great from, you know, way out here. It kind of, it just looks really cool, even if it does sort of taper off and end in disappointment right there. I'm so happy with that. I love these buildings. I really do. I really, really love them. Anyway, the third and final thing that I want to do today is basically to do with the Armadillo fuel refinery. Now, this fuel refinery has a bit of a train space down here. This is entirely decorative, though. I mean, you can see that it's not exactly very well done. But when you zoom out, I mean, that looks sort of like a train shed, I guess. It looks fine. Like, from a distance, you kind of look at it and you're like, it's a train yard. That's a train yard. But we now have some options for things we can do that would make this actually sort of functional. Specifically, the compact train yard is about perfect for that space. We could use the railway depot as well. This is not a bad asset whatsoever, but I think this one with the parked trains just outside kind of looks perfect. So what we're gonna do is once again get our radius delete brush, and I'm gonna start, I think, by getting rid of a bunch of these trees, which we will have to replace at some point in the not too distant future, but all of these ones as well. And we're getting rid of these ones over here for a different reason. those we will talk about why those ones are going shortly, but for now, all of these ones need to go right back to about there. All of these trees in here need to go as well. And then we can go through and make sure that we don't have any zoning, which I don't think we do, before we switch our radius delete brush to start removing buildings, because all of these buildings here need to go as well. We then want to start clearing out some props so that we get rid of all of the trucks and all of the train assets that we have in here, as well as all the decals. In fact, you know what? I know there's a lot. Oh, do I want to get rid of all of the decals in here? Not really. There are a lot of decals in this space because I made the place look a little bit older, but I think we'll be okay. We'll get rid of the surfaces that we have in here, and then finally we are going to pause, and we're going to start getting rid of, I guess, the networks, which will include some of the fences. It includes all of those train lines. It includes all of those sort of wooden piers that we're dealing with, and I think that also severs our connection to, yeah, it does sever the connection for power, water, and sewage. So let's just go and, I guess, reconnect those. I was going to redo it, but I think we can just sort of get away with from here to there. Should be fine. And then going into power, we can go underground. We can go to about here, and we'll go to, I guess, about there. Should be fine. It probably should be under a road, but I just want to make sure we have that connection. From here, though, what we want to do is just place this guy. Basically, that's about the gist of it. It is going to be, do I want to put it right against the road? Is that a thing I want to do, or do I want to try and get more buildings right against this thing? I think we want to look at buildings first, actually. I think we want to go into find it. We want to search for warehouse, and we want to see what my options are in terms of warehouses. So this is a cargo harbor warehouse. That's maybe a little bit big. That's also possibly a little bit big. Cargo train terminal storage warehouse. It is pretty good looking, though, and it does open out at the back. I don't know if that would be accessible for a train or not. It's not quite what I'm looking for, though. This is pretty good. Cargo transfer station, storage warehouse with extra tracks. Does it come with tracks? It doesn't. This building will need a surface underneath it, but actually, that's about perfect for what I want. So let me just bulldoze it, which I know is weird. I've just said it's perfect, but I want to move it down to about here so that we have a little bit of space between this road and those garage doors. And then I think we do this guy just back this way. If I can get it to rotate, that'd be great. It needs to go on that road over there. There we go. Yeah, I like that a lot. I do. I think that looks pretty cool. It's not exactly super convenient for the train thing, but I think that looks all right. I think that looks fine. And what we can also do is upgrade this guy with some extra tracks, which I'm going to say go on this side, so that we can actually have trains cut through here if they absolutely need to, which they probably shouldn't need to do, all things considered, but if they do, they can do it. Yo, we have this whole space upgraded. We have the fences back in. We have the trees back in. We have some new industries out here as well, because I figured we might as well just get a little bit more functional industry out this way. Although I will say, as much as I like that this is a fuel refinery, and as much as I respect that this is a fuel refinery, I think I'm gonna get rid of a few of these smokestacks. They're cool. They're interesting. They're a nice bit of verticality to all of these buildings, but it's a little bit much. We already have a bunch of them on the refinery itself. I think those can stay. I think these ones here are maybe just a little bit too much and maybe just a little bit too close to Armadillo itself right there. So we'll not worry too much about getting rid of those. I'm not really too concerned about it, because they will probably come back. It's almost guaranteed, because these are just zoned buildings that I decided to put out here because we do need that bit of extra industry. And what I'm also thinking is that we should go into Find It, and we should search for modular, if I'm not mistaken, because, oh, there's a bunch of modular things in here. That's interesting. None of those are what I'm looking for, though, because what I'm actually looking for are these industrial blocks. Now, these are modular service blocks. I think I've used these elsewhere in Blackwater already, which is having such a problem with not enough customers, but we'll deal with that eventually. These basically create sort of an industrial business inside of other buildings. That's the idea of these guys, is you turn on anarchy and you just plop them inside of other buildings. And in this case, what I would like to do is try and get a bunch of these industrial blocks behind each of the garage doors on this building. I could go for the slightly larger ones. I guess that wouldn't necessarily hurt. But maybe what we'll do is go one, maybe not every door, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll try 6 of them for now. I want to grab all 6 of these guys, and I want to rotate so that we're about here. And then I want to see if I can just move them right back to about that spot. That does put one behind a bunch of the doors. Are they functional? They totally are. Okay, so in theory, if everything works out, and I can upgrade these, if I can click on it, which is very difficult to do, but if I can get like that one spot right there, I can add things like parking spots if I really wanted to. That is an option. We can add a parking garage if we really wanted to, or pedestrian gates, or we can move it. But I think that'll be okay. In theory, I think that'll create some industrial businesses, and that'll make this this big old warehouse thing here kind of more functional, which is good. Now, something I would like to do before we go too much further here is actually just detail this a little bit, because we need to put a bunch of stains and decals and dirt and all that good stuff onto these surfaces. It's all looking just a little bit too clean right now. So let's see. We have these guys. Do I want to put those here? I think I do. I think that'll be sort of interesting. We can do some slightly lighter ones just down here. We can do, let's see, a nice long section of tire tracks just here because we can. I'm not just going to be doing tire tracks, but we can just sort of detail the space a little bit in a few places with some tire tracks. And then we can move on to, I suppose, just our usual mix of decals that we have in here. We'll go to the stain decals, and these are usually the best ones for all of these roads. All of these made by Sully, by the way, just in case you're curious. They are all made by Sully, as far as I remember. I think his name is on all of the icons that we're using here. So they're just fantastic. I've used them before. They're not new. I haven't, got a bunch of new stain decals since in the year or nearly year since I last played this, but they're so good. They're so good. They do exactly what we want to do. Can I not put them on top of that surface? Ooh, we need a different surface. We need a different surface in there because I want to be able to see some of the aging and some of the weathering that we're doing here. Let's go for the lighter one, just because I like to imagine, this building was built separately to the roads or something like that. So it's fine. Slightly different material is totally fine. We'll go back to our decals. We'll get our large stains right here, and this just helps blend everything together. It just helps make everything look like it's all part of the same world, part of the same industry. It's all filthy, it's all grimy, it's all dirty, and this is like my favorite part of City Skylines, both 1 and 2, is decals, detailing, weathering, hiding your crimes, all of that stuff. I just love it. I really do. Every single time, it just helps make things, look, it just brings it together. I'm being a little bit sloppy with them here. I'm not really thinking too much about where I'm placing them. And even with that, you sort of create this aging, this older look for all of the spaces that have been built. And I just love that. We can go and put some outside of some of these garage doors, so it looks like something's maybe, I don't know, leaked out of there. Not the most pleasant thing in the world, but it's a possibility. There's maybe been some big trucks going through here that have done a bit of damage to the roads at some point. Now, just while we're doing this detailing, I do think these buildings might be just a little bit too clean. This one in particular is not too bad because it has that beautiful texture on the roof, but this one, I think we need to make it look a little bit more filthy, and that's another thing you can do with these stain decals is you can disable the option to keep them upright, and so you can come in here and we can just very tediously, very carefully go across this roof. We can maybe swap out for a slightly different stain decal here just so it doesn't get too repetitive. Maybe a slightly smaller one here, again, so it doesn't get too repetitive. But this, I think I did 2 of them right there. I think I did 2. I absolutely did. This just does so much to make this building look a bit more grimy, a bit less uniform. Just compare it to this side. That's just worlds apart. It's so good. It's it's genuinely been such a long time since I've done any of this stuff. I probably mentioned it in the intro. In case it's not obvious, the intro gets recorded after everything gets done in an episode. But I played this for a few hours, maybe a month or 2 ago, just to sort of reacquaint myself with the controls and sort of how the game works. And so this is genuinely the first time I'm sitting down to do any sort of significant build project in a really long time, and it just doesn't get old. It just doesn't. It's I go through stages of playing these games. I know that a lot of people will sort of have found this channel through City Skylines over the years, and so I know it's a little frustrating sometimes when there's not as much of it as there are other things, but sometimes I just need a break. I've been doing this for a long time. That's the other thing. I've been doing this YouTube thing for nearly 14 years, and a lot of that time was City Skylines. Sometimes I just need a little bit of a break, and I always look forward to coming back to it though. I really, especially for stuff like this, you know? It's such a simple thing, but man, it just does so much to make that building look like it's been there forever. It makes the building look kind of filthy and disgusting, which is, you know, not the best thing in the world, not the best working conditions, but from a detailer's point of view, it's just, there's still nothing like City Skylines for just the detailing you can do. There really isn't. And you know, with the weathering pass done, with a little bit of added detail as well, and with some trees, some decals, some surfaces, I love this. I absolutely love this. It looks grimy, it looks dirty, it looks gritty, and it looks like it should as this weird little rail yard that is on the side of a fuel refinery. I'm so happy with this. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I had one more big thing that I wanted to do today, but I feel like this video is probably getting a little bit long, and so I'm gonna do the other thing in the next video, because this isn't gonna be a one-time thing. This isn't just like checking in on Cities Skylines 2 after a year away. This is me coming back to Cities Skylines 2, and so having something in mind for the next episode has me really excited because I think it's gonna be a good one. And actually, it's something that I first did in Cities Skylines back in June of 2015. Because I've been looking on Paradox mods, and I think I have found a bunch of unique buildings right here that could make up a really, really interesting little, maybe not that one, that can be its own thing, we'll put that one back there. But I think we could make ourselves just a little retail park. Something that I haven't done in Cities Skylines since, I think the last time I did it was 2022 in Cities Skylines 1, but the first time I built a retail park was Cities Skylines 1. It was at the beginning of June 2015. It was the first series of Cities Skylines that I ever did. And then I built another one a couple of weeks later as a part of what would become Cities Skylines Season 2. So this time, we're not going to be using UK-style buildings. We're going to be using Home Depot. We're going to be using Costco, which I do think we have in the U.S. I think we have Home Depot as well. I don't remember. We do definitely have IKEA. I've been to 3 different IKEA places, one in Sweden, one in England, one here in Northern Ireland. And it's weird. You go in there and your sense of time, space, and place just goes away because they all look identical on the inside. It's very, very strange. Whole Foods, no idea if we have that here. And Target or Target, I think we might. I'm not 100% sure. Don't remember. Doesn't matter. And then Barnes & Noble, also no idea. I know it's books, but yes, I want to build a little retail park, and I want to build it down here, roughly in this chunk of land that I just placed all these buildings. I want to build it kind of in this area as like a little additional thing next to Armadillo. And I'm also considering some slight upgrades to the highway infrastructure because we're having some problems with traffic over this way. We're having some problems with traffic this way, which is all mostly coming from Blackwater and up from Armadillo as well. And then over here, we've had a bit of a catastrophe, which is really, really not a good thing. So we probably want to make some significant changes to our highway infrastructure to get people around. And I like to think that that's probably the justification for a retail park being built next to a town that ultimately doesn't have that many people in it. Armadillo, at least Armadillo, well, actually, no, that is all of Armadillo. Armadillo itself just has 4,700 residents. So building a retail park that will be looking to have about that many customers at all times is a little bit ambitious, but I think if we can deal with the residential demand that we have, and if we can grow the population of Columbia County itself, as well as making sure that we do have good transportation links to Armadillo and the retail park, I think we can bring people down here. I think people from Blackwater can get away from the city for, you know, a couple of hours, come out to Armadillo, go to the retail park, maybe stop into the Old Town Main Street thing that we have over here. In fact, I'm going to rename, actually, you know, I am going to rename this actually. I was going to call it Main Street, because I kind of like that. But then I saw the word Umber, which made me think of the Ghost song Umbra, which is incredible. So no, we're going to stick with Main Street. We're going to stick with Main Street, just because I think that's, maybe not Main, what about Old Main Street? I think Old Main Street is kind of the good name there, because I'm pretty sure this one over here would now be considered, yes, Main Street. I've already named that one. That's fine. That's okay. Oh, and just while we're talking about transport links, there is one little thing I want to do, and this is going to be super, super quick. I want to go to bus line 9, because I think this is the one that connects Armadillo to Blackwater. So we start down here. Our next stop is all the way over here. So yes, this is the one that connects Armadillo to Blackwater. That's totally fine. We want to go to bus line 9. I'm going to rename it to... we'll just leave it. We'll leave it as it is, I guess. We'll maybe capitalize the L on line. I'll come up with line names proper at some point, but we'll say this is Armadillo slash BLW for Blackwater, and that'll be all right. But what I want to do is swap out the model, because another thing I did with Paradox Mods, I went there and I found someone that had taken the emergency evacuation or whatever bus, the coach, and made it possible to use it in public transport, and it has a higher capacity, which I think is good because the line usage here is 116%. So we're now, instead of running what amounts to essentially this bus, just kind of a regular city bus, we have these guys, which are proper looking coaches. And given that we are going cross country with these buses, I think it makes sense that we would go for something that has a higher capacity, that's going to be a bit more comfortable, that's going to have better suspension for those country roads. And so this, I think, makes sense. It's a pretty good looking bus, and it is that little bit bigger than the other ones. Anyway, that is gonna do us for today. This has been so much fun. This has been so exciting. This has been so strange to be coming back to Cities Skylines 2, but I have enjoyed this so much. I've had so much with just little things. I know we have done nothing. We have done nothing substantial, and I'm so sorry for wasting your time with this video, but I have had fun. I've really enjoyed building what we've built today, and so that is going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.